Yankees and Eagles.
It is 1 o'clock, time for our regularly scheduled business meeting. Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mayor.
Today's Pledge of Allegiance and prayer is Commissioner Unruh.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Father God, we come to this day. We are so grateful for the opportunity we have to conduct the city's business. And Father, today we lift up each and every resident of our city. And we are so grateful for the blessing, Father, that you are to us. Thank you for causing Garden City to be prosperous, and we are so thankful for all that you're doing, Father, within our city. We ask you to keep our first responders safe, Father, as they are out there day in and day out, and we are so grateful for their protection. Now, right now, we give you glory and honor. We ask for your wisdom and your direction and guidance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, next up is approval of the minutes. Are there any changes or corrections?
Yeah, but they were corrected.
Okay. All right, minutes stand approved as corrected. Next up is public comment. This is a time for anybody to come up and discuss something that is not on the agenda. If you'd like to come up, you'll have 5 minutes, and if you do so, please state your name. Okay, thank you.
All right, item 6A on the agenda for you this afternoon is a request from County Commissioner Pishney for the governing body to consider funding commitment to help underwrite the cost of an assessment/audit of facilities and venues in the community. In your packets, you will find an email containing some additional background information related to the item and the proposal that is being considered. It looks like Commissioner Pishney is with us today if you all have any additional questions for him related to this particular item. But with that, I will turn it over to you and the rest of the commission for any direction related to this item.
Okay. I know that Commissioner Pishney did give this presentation yesterday at the County Commission meeting, and I don't know if you all, looks like everyone had an opportunity to kind of hear that, so we won't make you repeat it. But does anybody have any questions?
What's the current status of the community colleges project?
The wording that was used with me from the president a few days ago was paused. They were just putting it on pause, see where we go with this study, this audit, this assessment. However, and I don't know where they are with regard to their fundraising and so forth. President Ruda would have to address that.
Okay, I would suggest talking with him again about what this process has done to that project. Just so you're updated, since you are the person who is putting together this committee to do this project. The other question I have is, originally when we did, as the city approved the rec, or the ice, the Hunden for the ice, we did bring it up to you to disseminate to the committee that you convened to see if they would be interested in doing something. And it took quite a while to get back to that. Eventually said, no, you weren't interested because you wanted to let the convened group have time to discuss everything and get everything going. That was more than a month, like a month and 10 days. My question is, has the committee got together to review this proposal?
First of all, my recollection of my response back to you when I said no, not at this time, was not that delayed. And I'm not going to stand here and argue a point, but I thought I got back to you in a more timely fashion than that. If I didn't, I apologize.
Okay, well,
Secondly, to your point about the committee, no, the task force is meeting on Monday, this coming Monday, and we were going to meet ahead of the presentation to the CBB board and to the chamber board and to the county commission. However, things happened,
right,
and those other two board meetings took place, and so I decided to go ahead and present to the county commission yesterday. As you know, they, well, may or may not know, the county commission voted to support this project with up to $35,000 of funding. So on Monday, the plan is to have Rob Hunden on a Zoom with us, with this task force, whoever is there, to start the process, if you will, from a standpoint, what all do you need from us? He's mentioned some of that already, but we want to clarify that. Then if there's any thoughts with regard to additional funding and so forth, those will be taken at that time as well. So long answer to your question, but no, the task force has seen, well, should have seen, because I sent it out to task force participants, but we have not had a meeting to discuss it specifically.
Okay. Oh, well, just for a matter of record, I contacted you on May 18th. That was the day after we met Hunden the first, or when we did the group interviews, and we selected that Hunden was going to be the group. And that's when we were impressed with the ability to do such things as a rec study, the study for a convention center, or all the different things that we are talking about with the convention center that could be trade show area or whatever. You then responded June 1st that you need more information, which I gave it to you within 2 hours. And then you got back within June 28th, would be 3 weeks later, that just said, no, you decided not to do that. My main concern is there's been projects that have been completely derailed to allow this group to get together and go through this whole process. Now we're to the point where the select group decided on some things. We have a proposal, and before we get together again as a group, which we were okay waiting months ahead now, right before we get together as a group, you want us to all fund this before we get together as that group. Why is it so important now to get this done before a group meeting when it was okay for it to go weeks and months ahead of before? I mean, you don't need to answer that. That's somewhat rhetorical, but that's really my issue I have. I have no problem funding studies about looking at these sorts of things. I think it's a wise use of money to do these sorts of things. It just frustrates me to be part of this group, to go through all the things, to see what it's caused in our community, and then we get to the point where we should, Monday, talk about this as a group and say, yeah, this sounds like a good proposal. We have people going ahead and soliciting money before we have a group even decided that this was the right thing to do. So I'm just frustrated with this process.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, so I had a question. So I know that well, and I watched your presentation at the county. So, and it was they came back with a $100,000 proposal. So I'm curious about, because I know that you said, hey, can you come back with something less? And so you said, hey, we'll be willing to pay for $50,000. Is there something that you saw in that original proposal that you said this is overkill or this is not necessary? And I was wondering, what the difference was between the $100,000 and the $50,000 proposal.
Well, first of all, the $100,000 that you're talking about, and I have Mike a bunch with me today. Was it 2 or 3 proposals we received from that original RFP? 3, wasn't? Mm-hmm. I didn't want to misspeak. We received 3 proposals from the RFP that was originally sent out, and part of this goes to the frustration that was just expressed by Shannon that it was delayed because of of getting that RFP together and getting back with our task force because of personal and professional reasons. There were several different things that caused that delay. The task force did see those 3 proposals that you're referencing. There were 2 things that troubled us. One was we didn't feel like it was addressing what we had intended, and part of that might have been how the RFP was worded and so forth. And second was the $100,000, and we said that's too much for what we expected. So we went back to Hunden, which we knew the city had a relationship with. They appeared to be as much on target to what we were expecting for audit and assessment of current facilities and so forth, and had a Zoom meeting with Rob Hunden at that time. Myself, Micah, Roxanne, Lansing with CVB, Stuart Nelson, and Robert Reese, our county administrator. And from that conversation, we said, Rob, we can't do that for that price tag. Plus, we think that there's some things missing here. And then Rob Hunden, back to us, said, what is it you're expecting? And asked us many questions about that. And that's what resulted in this proposal from Hunden Strategic Partners at this time. And at that point, to close my comment up to your question, Troy, is that we said we can't do anything for more than $50,000. What can you provide us for $50,000? Thus, his proposal.
I'd also like to point out when we could have added this in the first time when we did the ice and rec, that additional to add this component. And sure, we could have done some tweaks to maybe get to where it was going to be $25,000 total to add this in. But there was such a delay between getting back at all to going forward that we missed out on that opportunity to take advantage of this for $25,000. If we remember, that actually came up to a vote here, and our council decided we need to make sure we let the group have time to review these things.
I mean, my questions when I came today was, I watched the meeting that the county had, and you spoke everything, except I was still kind of left with questions that I didn't have all the information in front of me. And I think my proposal today, this afternoon, would be if we could postpone it until we gather information and look at what was proposed the first round compared to the second round, because going ahead and figuring out a dollar amount is kind of tough based on, for me, though, that lack of information. So I guess my request would be just to kind of postpone it so we gather more information.
Madam Chair, could I speak to that real quick? We have no problem with the commission delaying and making a decision. What I came here today was to relay to you that the county commission has approved up to $35,000 for the county's portion. The CVB has committed $10,000. The board of the CVB has committed $10,000, and the chamber board has committed $5,000. So if there are any other funding sources, including the city, we would welcome that. And that's how it was presented to the county yesterday. But the county knows that if there are no other funding sources come about, we're committed to $35,000. But we would appreciate if the city funding 10 or 5 or whatever it deemed appropriate. I do realize that to Shannon's comments, that there was that add-on question. At that point, the task force was in process, and I didn't feel at that time that a specific project, which it was related to Civic and Convention Center, was the thing that we wanted to address where it's building specific. We needed an audit of what do we have here, what can be used, what needs to be improved, and what might be needed new in the community for this study. So we being the subgroup of this task force, see that this is a different proposal than what was being asked of us for that add-on.
Well, I do appreciate that the Convention and Visitors Bureau are stepping up, because I think that's a really great use of some of those dollars. So I think that, and I mean, I appreciate the chamber also. I mean, I know that, that I see more of a tie to the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and then the chamber I know is really helping just to help, again, be a really great partner. And I do appreciate that the county stepped up because, as you said, we do a lot of these things, and, we've been doing a lot of building and a lot of opportunities, and so we know the value of these studies. And so I think it's great that the county stepped up and said, hey, this is something that's value, that we see value for everyone else. So, but I'm like you, I'd like to wait too and think about what that looks like. So
And that's perfectly okay as far as we, Madam Chair, if I could, one point.
Yeah.
Just a personal note. Roxanne would have been here today, but she texted me a little bit ago and excused herself for family matters. So I do want you to realize that she would have been here and could have taken that compliment personally.
Right.
Or could have received it personally, I should say.
So with the $10,000 from the CVB and the $5,000 from the chamber and the up to $35,000 from the county, you have that $50,000. So are you going to go ahead, regardless if we table it or come come back at a later time?
I think we're going to have our meeting at 10 o'clock Monday morning. And from that, we'll find out what the mood of the task force is. And I think that may address some of Manny's questions, if you will. But if there's funding that if there's funding that comes in after Monday, it just simply lowers the county's portion from 35 to X or Y or whatever. But we would welcome that participation. One thing I'd like to go, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
One thing I'd like to go back to, my visit with President Ruda, Ryan Ruda, at the college was just a few days ago. And he has not expressed to me personally any anger, anything about being upset. He certainly has been concerned about the delay. But he expressed to me that, yes, it's on pause, but we want to be a player in the community, I'm paraphrasing, I don't know that exactly. And I take him at his word.
Is there a motion, or what would you?
I think do we have to do anything? It's just,
If we want to table it, we don't
Yeah, I
have
think
to do anything.
I'd prefer to wait until at least the group
Okay.
meets. Yeah.
All right, all right. Well,
And your next meeting is, if you bring it back to the next meeting is,
it's in 2 weeks, so.
right, and I may
21st.
be
The
absent.
21st.
Yeah, and I believe I'm going to be absent at that time, and so I'll ask Micah or Roxanne or someone if
Okay.
they can be present to answer any questions that happen with regard to our task force meeting Monday.
Okay,
Thank
all right.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Item 7A is reports of the city manager. There are several of these that I would like to call your attention to that are grant related. So the first item is related to a grant award that the city received for $1,360,000 for our Safe Streets for All award application. So I want to thank all of the staff that helped put that application process together. We were the largest awardee in the state of Kansas. And looking at all of the awardees, I think we were the 4th largest rural community that was awarded funding. So that is fantastic.
Yes,
And-
congratulations.
And this is including the application from Liberal up through.
Yeah, it's
Yep,
those
that
So
different
whole-
multiple,
communities. Mhm.
multiple communities
Yep, yep.
That whole
included in that.
83 corridor. So a huge partnership opportunity,
collaboration pays off.
Yep.
for a whole bunch of folks. So we're really, really excited about that. You can kind of see the map
Yeah.
there. Those are the participating jurisdictions. The next item that I want to call your attention to is letting you all know that the base grant, round 2 grant application, we were not successful in our initial application for that, so we are submitting that again for future consideration. Moving along to the next item. So United States Senator Jerry Moran reached out to us to let us know that we were awarded congressionally directed spending in the amount of $19.1 million for our reuse project. So wanted to make sure that that was, we're obviously very excited about that as well. We will work with his office to put together a more formal kind of announcement, but it has been out there and referenced in a couple different places, so we wanted to make sure that you all were aware of that award application. And then kind of quickly going through the other items, the next one is related to some testimony that we submitted for the Federal Railroad Administration related to getting passenger rail that would come through Garden City. So wanted to make sure that you all were aware of that submittal that we included. The rest of them are reports, so a couple annual reports, one from the Sales Tax Oversight Board and the other one from the airport, and then the remainder of those are kind of regular monthly reports that we have. So happy to answer any questions.
I can kind of go over the sales tax oversight because I don't see our chair in the audience, so I was at the meeting, my first meeting yesterday. But the letter and the report is actually in your packet, and we just reviewed the sales tax receipts. Jared reported that receipts are coming in higher than predicted, which is great. And then we talked a lot about, just the different projects that the Jenny Barker Road construction project is completed, except for the addition of the signalization, which should be there possibly in April. So we're looking forward to that. The improvements at Lee Richardson Zoo have been completed and are occupied. The indoor shooting range has also been completed, and hours of operation when the facility is open to the public on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And then the third fire station that will be on the city's east side, design work has been done. The committee met and have interviewed for construction manager at risk, and we're just likely to, I'm not sure when that'll be announced, but there have just been some delays, and so it might actually delay the opening a little bit further. So if you have any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, that brings us to our meetings of note. So there are several of those listed. For those that do require RSVP, please work through Sealand to get that completed. I'll also highlight the mental health first aid that came to you several months back related to our Community Health Advisory Board, so they have that scheduled. If you are interested in going to that, let me know and I can help coordinate that. With that, it brings us to consideration of the appropriations ordinance. If approved, that would be appropriation ordinance number 2572-2023A.
I move that we approve appropriation ordinance number 2572-2023A.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
All right, that brings us to consideration of ordinances and resolutions. So item 10A before you is consideration of a resolution allowing Garden City to participate in the Kansas Moderate Income Housing, or MIH, grant program for the Sligo Station project on behalf of Hawkeye Development. So I will be presenting that item from here. As you all may be aware, the city has participated in the MIH program previously, and before you today are actually two projects for your consideration. So MIH program allows for communities with a population of less than $60,000 to request grants or loans for infrastructure and/or housing development in rural areas. Recently, starting in 2022 through 2023, the Kansas Housing Resource Corporation added an MIH ARPA request for proposal process that allows for larger projects to go through that submittal process. Under that particular program, the awardees are limited to $3.5 million, which is quite a bit more than the typical MIH program, which is now capped at $650,000. Communities must have a community housing assessment report done, which the City of Garden City does, that helps articulate the need in the community related to housing. So like I mentioned, for the 2023 program that's currently in process, the city has two applications that we received. The first is for the Sligo Station project. That property is generally located at 1801 Palace Drive, and the developer is asking for $2 million of MIH ARPA grant and $1.2 million in Kansas Housing Investment Tax Credits. So the current phase of that project includes 60 units of studio, one-bedroom, and two-bedroom units. The project also has a small component of it related to retail and rental space with additional amenities for the apartment complex on the grounds as well. The grant will be used solely for the construction of the homes. Your second application before you is for the Garden City multifamily project. That property is generally located at 3500 in the 3500 block of East Shulman. That developer is asking for $2.5 million of MIH ARPA grant and would construct 76 units of one and two bedroom units. That project also has paved and covered parking, tenant clubhouse, and other amenities. And again, the grant will be used for the construction of those homes. Both projects would require, and both projects have submitted rezoning applications, but generally fits what we have in our comprehensive plan. However, the city is only able to select one of the two projects to move forward in this round of funding. There will be another application process later this year, so I would fully expect that you will have another one of these. Whichever one you decide to go with, I would expect the other one to be in that next round of funding. With all of that, we have prepared two resolutions for you, and would ask you all that, although no part of the resolution or the vote would be binding, to consider the kind of recognition that a future MIH ARPA round of funding will be coming before you. With that, staff recommends that the commission discuss a willingness to express intent of recommending the project that is not chosen this go-around for the next go-around, so that the respective developer can continue working on the rezoning and some of those other aspects of the project that can continue. So with that, we have a couple different alternatives before you. One would be to approve resolution number 3001-2023, which would be a resolution supporting the Sligo Station project. You could also approve the other resolution. We can also number 3001-2023, and then we'll use the other one at a later date. Or you can ultimately decide not to support either of those two projects. So staff recommends alternative A, supporting resolution 3001-2023, supporting the MIH ARPA application for the Sligo Station project. There is no fiscal impact to the city to support this. The developer is the one pursuing the grant. We kind of serve as a administrator in that regard. So I know that was a lot of information. Happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Just a couple of some corrections that I noticed on the Sligo application. It says a couple of places USD 259 Garden City, and it should be 457. It was just in, I think, two places that I noticed. One was on page 7, and the other one was on the page job creation and economic development narrative. But otherwise, it was 457 throughout.
So I had a question. So moderate income, so does that mean that the rent is set at a certain amount for these? And so is there a range that they can use? So, because I mean, both of the projects are incredible and we need them both, and there's no doubt about that. But I'm curious about that idea of what makes this a moderate income.
Yeah, so there are a variety of kind of different regulations that have to be followed going through the MIH application process. I can't remember offhand, it's in the application kind of what the range is of those studio 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. But yes, there are parameters to make sure that kind of meets that moderate income housing level.
Because I know a lot of young people, I mean, this is the kind of things, I mean, this moderate income or this housing where you can affordable housing, I mean, yes, they want things to do, but you first have to have a place to live. And so having affordable places to live, I think that's also knowing the workforce. I wish these two weren't competing because I think they're both incredible applications, so.
I'll make the motion that we approve Resolution 3001-2023 and express the willingness to and the intent to recommend the project not chosen for the next round of MIH ARPA funding.
Second.
Well, which
Are you doing
which
Sligo?
project?
The Sligo.
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
I just had a couple of them. One, I'd like to just see, because I know the application was just for the 60 units. I kind of asked for a highlight of which one. I saw a plan in the packet here, but I couldn't correlate that with where it was at actually on the plan. So just so that we can have clarity on what's going to happen first.
And
Yeah,
Lana,
Lana's-
Lana
Lana's
can
here.
come
But
up
we
and
also are.
Yeah.
describes that piece for us.
Absolutely.
Keep in
Lawn
mind your
Development,
time.
County Economic Development. So the building they're talking about for this application is the northwest corner of the property. It's a building that is connected only through skywalks, if you will, with the other portions of the building. So it could be built, the project could start in that corner without having to do the entire complex.
Okay. And then also, and this doesn't affect this first go-around, but I was kind of concerned, and I asked if off-street back out from Palace Drive would be okay, because I know there'd been some future projects before that we'd had some concern with backing out onto oncoming traffic, but.
Right, so again, this is just the first run
Correct,
at the
right.
site plan. There is additional parking in the works that we can't really talk about right at the moment, but
Sure.
there is additional parking in the works for this building. It currently does have enough. The way it's laid out, there is enough parking for.
Yeah,
for the
and that's,
residential and the
that's
commercial.
not my concern on enough parking. It was more of the fact that the city's going to allow back out onto,
Yeah, you're going to see
Yeah.
this project a lot more
Yeah.
times before it's built, but yes.
It's a cool
we
project, yeah.
understand.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
really is.
We-
Madam
we
Mayor,
do,
it
so
is
we
1:30.
do have a 1:30. Yep.
1:30.
Yes,
Okay.
we do. Do we want to vote on this
I mean, we
real
can
fast?
vote in
or
2
just-
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
All right.
Now we have the 1:30 hearing.
Yes, we will jump down to the first item under new business, which is a 1:30 public hearing. The public hearing is on a matter for the governing body to hear questions, concerns, and comments from the public concerning the 2023 budget amendments that are necessary to reflect the actual 2023 expenditures. So Jared?
Okay, well, I will open up the public hearing.
Good afternoon. You get me on a lot of these amendments. We've covered what these are on, but we're just adding a couple new funds. The opioid settlement fund has been coming since the end of last year. And then the capital improvement plan fund is also new. And then the drainage utility, we added it, amended some of the costs there to make sure it reflected on our sheet. So if there's no public comment, once that portion is closed, then you have two alternatives. You can amend the 2023 amended budget certificate as presented, or you can choose not to and provide staff with direction. And our recommendation would be that following the public hearing, staff recommends the governing body approve the 2023 amended budget certificate. And I'll step aside in case there's any comment.
Is there any comment from the public? Okay. I'll close the public comment period.
I'll make the motion that we approve the amendment to the 2023 amended budget certificate as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, the motion carries.
And my only reminder is that I need all your signatures so don't
Yes.
today. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We will jump back up to our ordinances and resolutions. So item B before you is to consider a resolution to designate the future Montoya Addition as Rural Housing Incentive District, or RHID, within the city. Alicia?
Mayor and Commissioners, the state of Kansas passed a statute that allows cities of a certain population within counties of a certain population to offer incentives for affordable housing. Garden City meets the qualifications required by the state and is able to establish such RHIDs pending the approval of the Secretary of Commerce. In order to obtain approval from the Secretary of Commerce, the city must first pass a resolution making certain findings and determinations as the availability of housing within the city. Staff will then publish the resolution and send the required information to the Secretary of Commerce for approval. The resolution includes one potential RHID property that was not considered in previous resolutions and will be known as Montoya Addition. The area of the property is plus or minus 2 acres and is approximately located at the 3200 block of East Spruce Street. The developer intends to build single-family homes at this time. Your alternatives are to approve the attached resolution or to not approve the attached resolution, and staff would recommend approval.
Any discussion? What was the
Is this
resolution
3002?
number?
Yep, 3002, apologies.
I move to approve Resolution 3002-2023.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
The next item, item C, the governing body is asked to consider and approve an environmental nuisance resolution. If approved, it would be Resolution 3003-2023, and this is for the property listed below, which is 1203 Labrador, for furniture and a bed frame located in the backyard. Alicia?
Mayor and Commissioners, only one nuisance for you today. The governing body of the City of Garden City has declared it unlawful for any person to maintain nuisance conditions on private property within the City of Garden City. It has been determined that the residence located at 1203 Labrador Street has an environmental nuisance condition on the property and is in violation of the city's environmental codes. There is furniture located in the backyard, also a bed frame. Staff has visited the property on many occasions and has been notified by 2 order of violations sent January 4th, 2023 and January 18th of 2023. The property owner and the residents were unable to be reached and no contact was attempted by the property owners according to section 38-137 of the Environmental Code of Ordinances. They have neither abated the nuisance conditions nor requested a hearing before the governing body. The attached resolution will allow staff to mitigate the environmental nuisance on the property. Your alternatives are the governing body may approve the attached resolution or the governing body may not approve the attached resolution, and staff would recommend alternative 1 approval.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution number 3003-2023.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, item 12B before you, the governing body is asked to consider the second half of 2022 semi-annual report for the Community Development Block Grant Revolving Loan Fund on behalf of Great Plains Development, Inc. Jared.
Hello again. This is a report, twice a year you get this report on the grants that were given out or the loans that were given out. The report goes through in detail each loan, where it's at, how it's going. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them to the ability that I can. I will note that the loans that were given out during COVID, this is where these kind of stemmed from, should all be accumulated back in this year. And so in the budget for 2023, you will see the values of what we anticipate receiving back from these loans. There may be some holdovers and some that we need to work with the agencies on and try to collect and make sure we get that all in 2024. They may be granted extensions as necessary, but the gist of them will be concluded and this report will be a little simpler in the next few years would be my expectation. So the options today before you are to approve the semi-annual report for the period ending December 31st, 2022, or to deny the semi-annual report for the period ending December 31st, 2022, and staff recommends approving the semi-annual report for the period ending December 31, 2022. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So does Great Plains Development Center, do they come and talk to you? I mean, who do they speak to about when loans are delinquent? Are they the ones who are helping them just to make sure they get caught up? I mean, these are dollars that hopefully can be used again and again.
Yep.
And, not so much of the penalizing, but more of this. Are they the ones who actually deal with when they're delinquent?
Yes, most of the handling of these go
Right.
through that Great Plains Development. They kind of babysit these accounts for us. And so they are the ones that make contact with the loanee that's received the money. They're the ones who follow up to see if there's late payments coming through. Our accounts receivable and our finance department tracks that those transactions get accounted for appropriately, but that main point of contact is through Great Plains. And so when those instances arise that there are issues, they usually try to work with the person individually first, and if then that doesn't resolve, then they come back to the city, and the city can work with our legal team to decide what steps we need to do next.
Well, overall, I mean, there's a lot of people who are really doing a good job, and I don't think other ones aren't. But
Right.
Any other comments?
No, I move to approve the semi-annual report period ending December 31st, 2022 for the Great Plains Development Corporation.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 12C before you is the approval or the consideration of the 3-year operations and maintenance assistance agreement with Kansas Municipal Energy Agency. Mike.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. As you know, the city owns and operates its own electric utility and all of the aspects that go with running that utility. This agreement that's in front of you today is a proposal of an agreement with the Kansas Municipal Energy Agency, who we are members of. KMEA has their own distribution line crew. That particular line crew is located in Dighton, Kansas. And this particular agreement, and it wouldn't necessarily have to come from the crew in Dighton. They also have a crew that's in the southeastern part of Kansas. But this agreement would be a 3-year agreement to where Garden City, if needed, we would be able to call on their contract line crew to come in and assist us if we needed help for whatever reasons. They would be responsible for their own people. They'd be responsible for supervising their people. They would just work under the general direction of the City of Garden City staff. This agreement is a 3-year agreement, and it's $25,000 per year. At the end of the term, at the end of the 3 years, for whatever reason, if we had not used all of the hours that was necessary, they're able to carry over into that next year. So basically, we would be getting about 10 days of work per year by using this crew. So you may approve the operations, the 3-year operation and maintenance agreement with KMEA for $75,000, or you may not approve it. Certainly your choice there. Staff recommends approval of this agreement. And then the funding from this would come from our contracted contractors line item in our budget, which we budget $950,000 for. And then just for general reference, 3 years ago when we had PAR Electric working here as a contract group, that was costing somewhere between $750 and $1,000 an hour. So,
Goodness.
yeah, this is a pretty good deal. Anyway, I'm more happy to answer any questions.
Is there like a priority system? So say we have a major ice event that Garden, Dodge, Liberal, all of them need line crews. How does that work when we're trying to get these guys out?
The KMEA crews would only work with the municipal systems,
Right.
so it wouldn't affect
Right.
Dodge or another
Right.
area. But if it depended upon the severity of the community as to what was damaged, as to who would be priority 1, 2, 3, the work that would be scheduled under normal conditions is just scheduled based upon time. And, we may put our stuff in that we want this work done in August. Another community may want their work done in July, so they would be scheduled ahead of time.
Thank you.
I make a motion, we approve the 3-year operations maintenance and assistance agreement with KMEA for $75,000.
I'll second. He's pointing to me.
Yeah. Commissioner Ortiz. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We need to go to the replay on some of these.
I know, we need to.
You said the full word, I stopped.
Item 12D before you is consideration of a rate increase for the rent-a-truck program from $30 per use to $55 per use for residents requesting to utilize the rent-a-truck program. Tyler.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Tyler Patterson, Public Works Operations Manager. The governing body is asked to consider and approve a rate increase for the rent-a-truck program from $30 to $55 per use. Little history here, the program started in 1998 and allows city residents to use a provided city dump truck to clean up their property. Program runs from April 1st to September 30th, and the initial rate was $15 in 1998, and since then there's been 2 different rate increases due to operational cost. One was in 2002 from $15 to $25, and then another in 2010 from $25 to $30. We have 3 different alternatives here. One is to approve the rate increase to $55. The second is to approve a rate increase of a different amount, or 3, do not approve the rate increase. Staff recommends increasing the rate from $30 per use to $55 per use for the program.
So do they train you to drive the truck too? I'm just kidding.
Right?
No, I just can't imagine. Yeah, that's,
Yeah, we just keep it there and take the keys out. And
I would too. Yeah. No, it is a bargain. So with that, I move that we approve the rate increase to $55.
Okay,
Go ahead.
it's been
Well, I'll
moved. Is there a
second.
second? Okay, discussion?
So when you calculate all of the the information that you provided, that's $117. If you divide that by 2, that's $58.50. We're at 55. If we go for like another 10-year, well, actually, was it 10 that we've, or was it 13? I don't know.
Yeah, it was
But
13 from
they're-
2, yeah.
Yeah, but we've been doing like 10-year increments, and I think it was 13. I was just thinking to offset that, we've already got a motion, but I'm just thinking out loud here right quick. I was thinking of raising it to 60, but that's okay. We got a motion in a second. But calculate, and then
Well, yeah, I'll
the
amend my
other
motion,
thing,
so.
well, no. But the other thing I was thinking too is we didn't calculate the depreciation of the truck in there and the, as well. So, I mean, the wear and tear on the vehicle and stuff. So that's why I went from 58 to 60, just to kind of, then we do another 10-year period without having to increase it again,
Right.
is my thought process. But there is a motion in a second, so
I think
that was my discussion.
Yeah, with my discussion, I was just going to bring up the fact of having it come to us every 10 years so that we could discuss that rate on adjusting it, which is kind of already in there, I think.
Well, if like prices, like gas prices go
Well-
increasing, then, 10 years wouldn't be long enough, but I do.
Right.
And I think it's a really great service, and I know it's a service and you want to make it affordable. And so, I mean, whatever rate I'm just assuming the rate that you're charging is one that you feel is adequate. So, and I understand, what Commissioner Cessna is saying, if it's $60, then that's fine with me too.
Yeah, and so, it started in 1998, and I think, if we would have evaluated this rate every 4 to 5 years at around a $5 to $10 increase,
Right.
depending on certain prices, they fluctuate with fuel and everything, but that put us right around $55 to $60
Right.
today.
Yeah, so I'd say just make sure we revisit this a little bit more often.
Maybe not in 10 years,
Yeah.
maybe in like 4 years or
4 or
something.
5, yeah.
Yeah, I think our plan is every 4 to 5 years to reevaluate this
Yeah.
rate. Yep.
Yep. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 4 to 1.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I get who the second was? Thank you.
All right, item 12E is consideration of a request for proposal regarding future use of the State Theater. So on September 6th of 2022, the commission directed staff to develop a request for proposal related to the State Theater. And this is in line with one of the city commission goals that were identified for 2022 and 2023. So staff has drafted an RFP that allows for those interested in acquiring, remodeling, repurposing, or some other use to submit a proposal. It also allows members of the public to submit suggestions as well. The goal of the RFP is to be broad enough to allow for a full range of proposals be brought back before you all for consideration. You can see that we have the timeline identified here as well. So if approved, it would be advertised tomorrow, and then we'd go through a pretty extensive process to make sure that we're answering any questions and that sort of thing to bring back to you all those initial proposals in April. So the necessary actions to allow the governing body's decision will obviously be dependent on whatever action is taken related to which proposal you all are interested in proceeding with. So after we get that direction from you all, we'll kind of update the timeline to figure out if we need to negotiate a lease or purchase or what have you, depending on what those proposals look like. So the alternatives before you are to approve the RFP as presented and direct staff to release that. You may modify the RFP or deny it altogether and provide staff with alternative direction. Our recommendation before you today is to approve the request for proposal as presented and direct staff to release the RFP. There is no fiscal impact related to releasing the RFP. There obviously may be, there will be some fiscal note related to whatever proposal is brought back before you. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions that any of you may have.
I know we've kind of discussed it in our goal setting retreat and things, and we've kind of came up with this idea of putting it out in request for proposals. But kind of looking back after we did the comprehensive plan and kind of the downtown master plans and things, I would like to table this item so that we can maybe discuss it further amongst ourselves to kind of maybe possibly get an idea that we could throw at it better, because I don't think we had that information when we went through this process. I don't mind it going and requesting for an RFP. I know that's what we decided, but I would ask that we kind of just take a little more time to discuss it, maybe just table it so that we can kind of reconvene and discuss a possible project that the city could provide instead of having it be private funded or a private entity. We can open it up for discussion more if you guys want.
Would that be inside the normal, I mean, we could run our own project idea at the same time and weigh that against whatever proposals come in.
Right.
The kind of thing that I would say, I don't know if, to me, 3 weeks, I mean, if we're going to where you have to get questions in by 3 weeks.
Correct.
On a project that's going to be millions of dollars to do anything, realistically, it's going to be millions of dollars to do this. There might not be the local ability to get enough things secured for a multi-million-dollar project within 3 weeks to be at the point where they can ask questions. So to me, it looks like the timeline's just a little bit aggressive. That's mainly the only comment I had is that I'd like to see a little bit more, maybe like a 1 month delay between releasing and deadline for questions, just to get some of those local people the ability to kind of call up their family or friends or business partners and have them come out and visit and stuff like that.
I would agree with Commissioner Dick on that point as well. And then also the presentations to the City Commission, will that be done during the commission meeting? Would it be done at a pre-meeting?
So we left a little bit of flexibility in there, just depending on how many of those we get. So April 4th is a city commission meeting, so we could kind of have that conversation at the city commission meeting to say, okay, give you guys an update to say this is how many we got.
Sure.
Based on that, this is what we would recommend. So we've kind of left that flexible depending on what we receive.
Well, and I know that this property is owned by the city, but it's also located in downtown. And so I'm curious about making sure that downtown vision is included. I'm not saying maybe, I don't know in the process, is there a way to, because again, maximizing that space also for them, because the downtown is, I mean, I think Downtown Vision's doing a really great job, but making sure, I mean, that, again, I don't mind. I think it'd be great to have an idea of our own. However, I do think an RFP with extended timeline, again, knowing that, I agree with you. This is not a, $50,000 and you got your going business, but it is just because of the age and, what the building entails. So if we could extend that, I wouldn't mind doing the RFP also, though.
And also, we've had this building for quite a long time.
Yes.
And so you want to give as much time as possible for people to have informed RFPs and projects. It would, if there's a way to extend that deadline, that would be preferable, as Commissioner Dick said.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, we can certainly do that.
So is there a motion?
I would move to approve the RFP as presented with the change of moving the February date, that February 28th date back a month, and then all subsequent similar spacing to keep all the rest of that timeline intact, just push it all back a month.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
All right, item 12F before you is to consider and approve purchase of utility billing software from Core & Main in the amount of $216,406. Derek.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Since 1992, the city has utilized Billmaster as our utility billing provider. This software has become outdated and hard to maintain. Every process is entirely manual, including billing, entering customer payments, and running customer reports. This has created many unnecessary workloads that are time-consuming and keep staff from being efficient. The server that supports Billmaster will also reach its end of service life in the fall of 2023. In 2009, the city implemented an advanced metering AMI system through Core & Main's census for the city's 12,000 electric meters and 9,000 water meters. The AMI system allows a two-way communication system to remotely collect detailed metering information in real time. So, during the process of selecting a vendor for our enterprise resource planning software, staff identified Tyler Technologies as the preferred vendor for our ERP application. Staff identified Tyler's financial, human capital management, and payroll modules as excellent. However, there were concerns regarding Tyler's utility billing software module. So the key driver being its inability to fully integrate with our Census AMI system, as well as their customer service and support for their utility billing software. Now, in researching an alternative utility billing software provider, staff wanted to ensure we picked a software that fully integrated with our Core and Main's census metering system. Core and Main identified their vendor, Diversified Technology, as a utility billing software provider that is fully integrated with the Census AMI system. Staff reached out to 8 different municipalities that are currently utilizing Core and Main's Census AMI system, along with Diversified Technology's utility billing software, and all reports came back positive. Staff also spoke with Tyler Technologies and Core and Main to ensure that both platforms will integrate with each other to become a single unified system. Core and Main's utility billing software through Diversified Technology will allow us to fully integrate with Census AMI system and the new ERP technology from Tyler Tech. So, sorry. The governing body, or the staff's put together 3 alternatives for the governing body to choose from. Alternative number 1, the governing body may approve the purchase of utility billing software from Core and Main in the amount of $216,406. Alternative number 2, the governing body may deny the purchase of utility billing purchase from Core and Main. And alternative number 3, the governing body may give staff further direction. So, recommendation, the staff recommends the governing body approve the purchase of a utility billing software from Core and Main in the amount of $216,406. And the fiscal note on this project is the 2023 budget has $2 million budgeted for the entire enterprise resource planning software application. On September 6, 2022, the governing body approved the proposal from Tyler Technologies that only included financial, human capital management, and payroll modules for $1,179,629. The remaining funds will be used for the utility billing software application, rounding out the entire ERP application. I'd be happy to answer any questions from the governing body.
After the first year, there's an ongoing fee to use this?
Correct.
Is that the $53,000 that was in the?
Yep, that is that $53,075.91.
Okay. Is that budgeted, or how are we going to address that?
So, so with that $2 million that's left over,
With
we'll
the
pay
gap,
that, and
right.
then once we run out of that money, then we'll start budgeting it.
All right.
I was kind of excited that we were under budget, so on something, so I was like, that's really nice. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that extra, that under will go a long ways to paying that yearly fee for quite a while. Yep.
I'll make the motion to approve the purchase of utility billing software from Core and Main in the amount of $216,406.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 12G before you is to consider the service agreement with Heartland Coca-Cola Bottling Company. Aaron?
Afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. When the Rec Commission merged with the city, the Rec Commission brought a Pepsi contract with it for all of its concession stands and vending machines. The city happened to be under an agreement with Coca-Cola, so we do live taste tests here, for its facilities, particularly Garden Rapids, Buffalo Dunes Golf Course. Well, surprise, surprise, those contracts don't end on the same date. And so the item you have before you today is basically a contract extension with Coca-Cola, Heartland Coca-Cola, to line up to where both agreements end on the same date, where we can rebid the entire city's concessions and vending as one item. If you've read through the agreement, there are some sponsorship opportunities in there that will be generated out of that, even in this short time. The idea behind making this a single contract is those sponsorship opportunities will increase. We will also get a lower price on the purchase of the items that we get from the beverage distributor, as we will be distributing in larger volume. So just for your reference, last year we emitted about $73,000 in revenue on various beverage products through concessions and vending. We expensed approximately $51,000 in doing that. We do anticipate similar expenditures. Ideally, the more we can make our concession stands grow, the better those numbers get. So your alternatives today would be to approve the agreement with Heartland Coca-Cola and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement, or you may deny the agreement. And I'll answer any questions.
When I saw this first, I had to ask Matt, I was like, how many vending machines do we have at the administration building? Because I don't see any where I can get Coke.
So we, surprisingly, we have several and we continue to add. So Core Fitness, Gymnastics, and Sixth Street were kind of the original. The gun range has now put them in. I believe the airport's coming online with that same project. Or under our same agreement. And I think the utility center has one for staff. So duly noted that we need to get one in the city admin building.
With salads, we get healthy food out there.
I move that we approve the agreement with Heartland Coca-Cola and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, item 12H is for consideration of an executive session pursuant to KSA 75-4319B6 pertaining to preliminary discussions related to the acquisition of property. We anticipate we need about 20 minutes for that particular executive session.
Okay.
Madam
Can
Mayor,
we,
can we-
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, can we go ahead and do the consent agenda and the commission reports and then do the executive session last?
Absolutely. Let's jump
thanks.
over to the consent agenda. If approved, it would be items 11-1 through 4.
I move that we approve items I, 1 through 4.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Right. Commission reports. Commissioner Unruh.
So I thoroughly enjoyed visiting the airport. The project, the building was absolutely incredible, and that report, the annual report, is really was just phenomenal. Also, I just wanted to say thank you for whoever made that possible. I know Rochelle and also the airport staff, and then Crossland was just an incredible opportunity to do that. I really enjoyed watching the sales tax. Boy, I'll tell you, that November, December I didn't think it'd get any better in November, and December just blew it out of the water. So I'm excited about what this year looks like. And I'm also really grateful for all of the innovation that's taking place. I mean, both of the projects that came up today, Sligo Station and the project, the multi-unit project, are so valuable to our community. And I mean, it's really the only way we're going to get younger people and people overall to move here to work all these incredible jobs. The $19.1 million was quite a shock. That's a lot of money coming for a project that was you put it on the books and think hey, this is just an idea and never knowing if it's going to happen. And then all of a sudden you get a huge chunk of money for that. So I'm just really excited and thank the staff for all the work. The 83 corridor is something I care a lot about. I think it is huge dollars for Southwest Kansas, and it'll change the complexion of Southwest Kansas by having that hopefully 4-lane someday all the way. And then I just think the amount of commerce that can go right through Western Kansas. So I just want to say thank you for all the hard work. I know there's been some really excellent things happening. Danielle, you did an awesome job manning the captain's chair, so I want to thank you for that. And so thank you everyone for all that you're doing.
Commissioner Cessna.
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate Danielle on running the meeting. You did a good job on filling in, and good to hear of the grants that we received. I've put grants together, so I know how hard it is, and especially for government grants and things of that magnitude where we receive those large dollar amounts, but it really will help our community move forward in a positive direction. I did attend the push-in ceremony for the Garden City Fire Department yesterday to put in service ladder truck number 2. I'm really excited to see and talking to staff, and they're really excited to have that new apparatus in service and supporting our community. So great to see that and get out with the employees and staff and visit with them. And that's all I've got.
All right, Commissioner Ortiz.
I'll just like to ditto the other commissioners with a couple of ads. you said 4-lane highways, is make sure it's divided 4-lane highways. so
I
you
don't
get-
care. I'll just take 4-lane anything. I just, yeah.
No, yeah, a lot of collaboration with departments, with city staff, with, county commissioners. I think we just need to keep that strong and kind of keep that going. Alicia, thanks for the MIH programs that you're working through. Lana, for your, efforts to kind of get these people to invest here. I mean, it just goes all the way around. So please thank Tim Hannigan for that awesome project, and hope we just look forward to seeing that break ground. So, and then other just investors that are looking for places to build here in Garden City with the addition of a new fire station, addition with 5 new high schools. No, I'm kidding on that one. Hopefully, we are growing. So bring those professionals here and keep growing, keep building Garden City. Thanks.
All right. Commissioner Dick?
Okay, well, this is going to sound quite repetitive, so I'll try to put a different spin on everything. First, thanks for all the work that the staff does. I mean, it took longer to read all the back information for the town hall than the town hall actually took. I know there's a lot of preparation that goes into those things that nothing comes of it, but we're ready in case it is. So thanks for all that time. It does not go unnoticed, the work that you guys put in. I've, like others have said, Commissioner Unruh and others have said, the airport is really gaining steam. Nobody's been in the new part yet. It's still getting constructed, but I'm hearing more and more people that come in that are really impressed with that project, that really think it's a game changer, and they're not even from here. So it's been really good to see. Like we said with the MIH applications, this is good news in the case where we're trying to build 4,000 units in less than 10 years. When we start to see this traction where we have groups from out of the area or somewhere in the area, now the area, but starting to try to use the tools to get housing built so that we can reach those goals that we need to be reaching because of the goals and the opportunities that we have here. So that was good to see. It's tough to make decisions on 2 good projects like that. Like we said, hopefully when that next round comes about, can apply for that for the other project and get that going as well. And then, like others have said, really excited about that water reuse grant. That's one of those potential game changers for Southwest Kansas, and really looking forward to the bigger announcement when that comes about from up above us. So, right. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thanks to ditto. But wait, there's more. I enjoyed going to the Vietnamese Tet celebration. It's always so enjoyable, and it's always nice to see the public and see all of the different, just the different traditions and the different foods and all of the preparations that go into celebrating one of the many cultures that we have here in Garden City. And the Vietnamese committee that puts that on did a really good job, and so I appreciated being able to go to that. Went to Topeka with the Chambers Southwest Kansas Night Out at Topeka. There were quite a few of you that also went, and that was a nice opportunity as well to visit with legislators and just have that one-on-one discussion with them in a more relaxed setting than in their offices. And so it's a great event, and thank you for the Chamber for putting that on. I've done a lot. I went to the police department's holiday celebration and their award ceremony for duty and how long they've been in service. And then I went over to the fire departments and equal opportunity. And so it was, I don't want to get in trouble for favoring one over the other. So, but it was not, I was blown away just by the camaraderie, but then also just seeing all of the changes, especially with the McGrath studies at both the fire department and the police department, and just seeing those changes that have been implemented and instituted. You can see it in the staff, you can see it in the leadership, and just in the organizations as a whole. And so it was just a really nice to be able to go to that. And then also, of course, Finney County Economic Development's annual meeting. That's always a fun one to go to also because there's always some big announcement. And this year, Sligo Station was the big announcement. But then also just hearing that, from Commissioner Dick's presentation about the, $1 billion in sales and just all of the great things that we have going on here in Finney County where we're not on that trajectory downward. We're actually on the trajectory up. And so thank you for both of those for putting that together. And I also enjoyed going to the push-in yesterday with Commissioner Cessna. It was very nice just to see those traditions brought back. And, you know, a tradition that started in the 1800s to be carried on today. It was really heartwarming as well. And then I do have one thing that I wanted to just kind of get the will of the commission's opinion. A lot of times we have appointments to various nonprofit boards in the community because of different funding sources and needing an elected official, and Harvest America is one of them. They received their funding from a CDBG grant, and they have asked that an elected official from the city be put on that committee, and they have recommended Reynaldo Mesa. And so it was kind of a surprise to me that that was something. And so I wanted to just see, get kind of a yes or no, if you guys are okay with having somebody from the city on Harvest America.
Besides Ronaldo? maybe?
No, it would be Reynaldo would be
As our
as our representative, yeah.
I don't see an issue with
Okay.
that. I mean,
They are a 501c3, and they do a lot of work in the community as far as helping people with rent and helping people with food assistance. And they do have some other programs through USDA and other things, but it was a new one for me. And then it kind of caused a larger discussion, which is, so how many committees do we have that have city appointees? And so that's kind of something that we probably need to figure out just exactly what nonprofits in Garden City and in the area are using city appointees, just so that we know if they're representing the city, that we kind of have an idea. So
And I think we probably got to get with council too to see if that binds us with their organization and their bylaws or anything like that.
Right.
So
Certainly.
it doesn't have to be now, but maybe we can kind of,
right, you know, as we
Dig
kind
into
of look
that,
at,
right.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, all right.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll go ahead and let them know that that's okay. All right, so next then is the executive session, and you said 20 minutes?
Yep.
Could
And
we
what staff?
incorporate a short break also, Mayor?
Yes, we can, yeah. And what's,
So we will need Jimmy Dummermuth as city attorney, and then we will also need Mike Muirhead, Director of Public Works and Utilities, and myself.
okay.
I was going to say, do you need
And
me
do
in?
you need
I
to be
will,
in there?
yes.
All right.
I will also join you.
So let's, 4 minutes enough to come back at 2:15? Okay, all right. Would someone like to make that motion?
Just take a
To
you want
go
to take a
into
recess first and then go, and then make the
We can,
motion
yes,
when we
we
come
can
back?
do that, yep.
Then we're not making any we'll make a distinction between that.
Okay.
So we'll just take a recess for like,
Till 2:15.
till 2:15,
Yep.
come back, make the motion,
Yep.
and then go into executive session.
Okay, sounds good.
Does that sound okay, Mayor?
That works.
Okay.
All right. So we're recessed until 2:15,
Yes, you can.
3 minutes.
For 3 minutes? That's okay.
4319B6 pertaining to preliminary discussion relating to the acquisition of real property with Jimmy Dermuth, Mike Muirhead, and Danielle present as well, starting at 2:15 to last for 20 minutes, we said, till 2:35.
Okay.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. We're in executive session.